If you grew up in the 2000s, then you definitely remember Tattuu, the Kenyan girl group that lit up the early 2000s with fresh energy and unforgettable hits. Songs like Teso and Haiya dominated the airwaves, breaking barriers in a male-dominated music industry and earning them the nickname Kenya's Destiny's Child. But just as their star was rising, Tattuu suddenly vanished from the spotlight in the mid-2000s.
I think people wanted us to be Destiny's Child. Us guys just wanted to be ourselves, which is what we have always been.
So what really happened to the trio that changed the game? And did you know that one of the members is Shafi Weru's baby mama? Before we dive into the full story, a quick shout out to Eminix, who requested this video. Now, let's get into it.
What people don't know is that Angela does a lot for the music industry behind the scenes, pushing for policies, making sure that the landscape is great for musicians. Actually, a lot of these things that we see, the positive change we've seen, is actually because of this girl.
You know, the people who are like, what happened to you guys? Come back and do a song.
Tattuu was a Kenyan pop group made up of 3 talented ladies, each bringing her own unique strength to the team. The lead singer, Angela Mwandanda, better known as Shinde, provided the group's powerful vocals. Debbie Asila, the group's publicist, handled most of the marketing and public relations, ensuring their music reached a wide audience. Then there was Angela Ndambuki, known as Angie or Rabo, the visionary and legal mind behind Tattuu. Angie wrote all of the group's songs and oversaw every legal aspect.
Yes, I was the main singer, and there was never a bone of contention that. Over the years now, as we continued to be in the industry, I used to hear people be like, oh, but Shinde is the main singer. We know. We never had bouts about who the main singer was, but Angie had the vision. She wrote the song. A lot of these things might not have happened if she didn't have that vision. And Debbie was like our marketing girl, because she was bold. She was naturally bold. She already had a way with people. She was courageous anyway. And so we all had this role that we played in the group.
For Tattuu, I can only speak on behalf of Tattuu. What worked in our advantage was that we always had a lawyer in our group, and that was Angie. So for any contract that was brought our way, she always had that eye to say, we're not going to sign this because it's not working in our favor. We're not going to do XYZ because it's not working in our favor.
In this video, we will use Shinde to refer to Angela Mwandanda and Angie to refer to Angela Ndambuki. So how did these 3 ladies meet? Angie and Debbie first crossed paths in 1998 at Phoenix Players in Nairobi, East Africa's most reputable theater, known for nurturing raw talent. A year later, Shinde joined the theater and the 3 instantly clicked. Beyond acting, Debbie and Angie were also part of a Phoenix Players dance group called Raider, which included members like Liana Achio Chola and Anit Getacha. Shinde occasionally joined them for gigs, but she was never an official member of the group.
We met at Phoenix Theaters. We were actors then in a musical. So yeah, we became friends and we started dancing together actually.
Back in 2002, when Nameless was still an up-and-coming artist, he needed dancers for his performances. Angie's brothers, who happened to be in the same university class as Nameless, introduced him to Angie and Debbie. The two quickly became Nameless's official dancers. When Nameless later left Ted Josiah's Audio Vault Studios and joined Ogopa DJs, his career skyrocketed, making him a household name in East Africa. With that rise, he wanted more daring, highly expressive dancers, the ones that could twerk, similar to the famous Boomba Girls, who dominated music videos at the time. Angie and Debbie weren't comfortable with that direction, so Nameless eventually had to let them go.
And then we found ourselves dancing for Nameless actually. And then at some point when the dancing styles changed, because we're more creative dancers, so when the dancing styles changed, you have to shake a bit. We couldn't do that. So we opted to do some singing because of course Nameless had to keep with the times,
And us guys we're very wholesome people. Angie and Debbie were not the twerking kind.
Although the decision broke their heart, Angie still believed the 3 of them, herself, Shinde and Debbie, could succeed in the entertainment industry. She suggested they stop dancing altogether and instead follow Nameless to Ogopa DJs as singers. Shinde was hesitant and Debbie did not like the idea at all. But Angie pushed forward. She wrote the song Teso, created the name Tattuu, Tattuu and pitched the entire concept to Lucas Piquedo, the producer at Ogopa DJs. Even though Debbie was still against it, Angie was convinced the name would stick and believed Debbie would eventually join them. Lucas loved the idea and Angie and Shinde went ahead and recorded the track.
And so Angie at some point decided, you know what, even us, we're going to sing. And so now Angie has decided we're going to Ogopa DJs, we're going to record a song. Because now Mosky doesn't want us to dance for him anymore. She started writing now our song, Teso. At this point now, of course, I am not a writer. Me, I've just found out that I can act and I can sing. I cannot write music. Angie, you know, has always been the more ambitious one. Like, no, I got this. She's written this song. We've met Lucas. Somehow we get into the recording booth and we're ready to record this song. So we finish recording.
The three of you?
No, just me and Rabbit. By this time, Debbie's not sold to the dream. And we're going to sing. Debbie was like, by the way, Debbie was not in the studio for that one because she had not even been sold to the idea of Tattuu.
When Teso was finally released in 2003, Debbie appeared in the video as part of Tattuu, reflecting the strength of their friendship. The song became an instant hit, one of the hottest tracks of the year, earning the group nationwide acclaim. With its success, gigs started pouring in, and the trio traveled across the country performing. Because of the overwhelmingly positive reception that Teso received from fans, Lucas decided to include it on the Ogopa 3 album. For those unfamiliar with Ogopa compilation albums, or Kenya the First Chapter and Kenya the Second Chapter, we break them down in detail in our video about kleptomaniacs. Check it out. Interestingly, before the song was even released, Angie and Shinde were not happy with the final product Lucas delivered. For one, it took him 9 months to finish the song after they had recorded their vocals, and when he finally did, some parts they had recorded were removed, while others they hadn't included were suddenly added. But once the song dropped and fans embraced it instantly, they realized Lucas' decisions were actually genius.
This song became huge. Please remember, in our little head, Lucas had made a mistake. The legendary Lucas blundered this song, made something else. Little do we know that it was a beast.
Despite being closely associated with Ogopa DJs, at one point even nicknamed Ogopa, Tattuu never signed with Ogopa. According to Angie, the contract terms simply weren't favorable.
We tried to sign with Ogopa, but we never reached an agreement because of the split. Please understand that, you know, we're three. And Madam Lawyer, yeah, she's the visionary. So she was like, we're not going to get signed. Yes, we will record with them, but as far as this contract is concerned, we're not going to make much from it. So she was like, this deal is not going to work for us.
With their debut single now one of the biggest songs in the country, the trio faced immense pressure. They needed a follow-up track that could match or even surpass the success of Teso. Later that same year, they released Haiya, which remains a personal favorite for many. However, the song received mixed reactions from fans and didn't reach the heights of Teso. Still new to fame, the backlash hit them hard. They hadn't learned that criticism and sometimes harsh comments came with being celebrities. Confused and discouraged, they went back to the drawing board, trying to understand why they were receiving so much negative feedback.
The reception from that song was weird. Like, some people liked it and some didn't. Now, for us, we haven't had negative anything by this point. But now when the guys started giving us backlash for this Jualanyesha song, like, what are these chicks singing about? So now we're starting to feel the pressure of being a celebrity, and we're trying to figure out what is this expectation, because us guys are performing artists, but people wanted, I don't know what they wanted. Up to today, I feel like Destiny's Child was like the epitome, and us guys had to try and sort of fit in those huge shoes, and little did people know that we were still trying to figure it out.
Their next release, Songea, was a solid track, but again, it didn't match the popularity of Teso. Around this period, the trio also recorded collaborations with Wahoo and Jua Kali, though those tracks never saw the light of day.
Unfortunately, the songs that we did, they were good as far as we're concerned, because we never went into the studio giving less than, but nothing was ever bigger than Teso.
Because Tattuu had never signed to Ogopa DJs, they were free to explore other labels and producers. In 2004, they teamed up with Msioka, then a producer at Homeboys, to create Yuwapi featuring Tanzania legend AY. The song became a massive hit in Tanzania, far more than in Kenya, leading to most of the performances that year being across the border. In 2005, Debbie became pregnant, which naturally slowed down the group's activities. For several performances that year, Shafi Weru's sister stepped in as a temporary replacement. Then in 2006, Angie also became pregnant, making it even more challenging for Tattuu to continue performing at the same pace.
We started to disintegrate when motherhood came into play, and then people started getting jobs, and then music slowly took a back seat. But it wasn't like we decided now we're done, let's just, hold back for a while.
As the only member not navigating motherhood and as the group's lead vocalist, Shinde began to reconsider her future. Eventually, she approached Angie to share her desire to pursue a solo career. Both Angie and Debbie were very supportive, giving Shinde their blessing as the group quietly went their separate ways.
I tell Angie that, I really just want to break out and do my own thing.
Shinde is the one who wanted to do her own solo, and of course she was the lead singer in the group, and we said, we gave her the blessings to go ahead and try her own thing.
Despite the breakup, Tattuu did not make the separation public. In 2009, Shinde released her first post-Tattuu track, Come Back to Me, featuring veteran producer Ogopa DJs, as well as Debbie Asila and Angie. To avoid revealing the split, the song was credited as Tattuu featuring Ogopa Ngoma. The strategy worked, the song was a success, and gigs began pouring in once again. Since fans and promoters were unaware of the breakup, Tattuu continued being booked as a trio.
In my head at least, I know we've split. This is my first single as Shinde, And in fact, the video should have read Shinde featuring Tattuu and Ogopa. But because we were never the kind of chicks to air dirty, and we didn't have dirty laundry. I mean, sure, we had fights because, like I said, we're very different personalities. But we were sisters. So anything that was between us was always going to remain between us.
From there, Shinde continued to build her solo catalog, releasing Ready for Love in 2010, followed by major collaborations with Ressa on Unbreakable and later with Giuliani on Crossover. However, after her self-titled EP struggled in 2012, Shinde made the difficult decision to step away from music.
I had done a show in around 2012 and I invited a lot of people. I spent a lot of money making an EP and that show was a flop. So that was sort of discouraging and they said, let me just hold back for a while.
After stepping away from music in 2012, Shinde spent several years out of the spotlight, focusing on a personal journey and redefining her identity outside the industry. For a long time, it seemed as though her chapter in music had closed. But in February 2019, Shinde made a powerful and unexpected return with the hit single Pressure. The comeback track brought together an impressive mix of industry veterans and rising stars, Big P, Nameless and Pascal Tokodi. The following year, in 2019, Shinde shifted direction once again, releasing the gospel single Do It For Me.
Do it for me. Do it for me.
Over the years, Shinde has gone on to establish herself in the corporate world as well. She currently serves as the National Coordinator for the Recording Industry of Kenya, an organization dedicated to promoting collective interests of producers of sound recording in the country. She also offers business development and marketing consultancy services within the Kenya film industry. And while she hasn't released new music recently, Shinde remains very much active in the entertainment space, this time through film and television. She has appeared in several productions, including the hit drama Selena, where she played Katie and County 49. Shinde has often shared that acting has always felt like her true love, explaining that while music has disappointed her at times, acting continues to feel like home.
I usually call acting my first love. Yes, not music. Not that I have anything against music, but like any other relationship, which as a human being, I'm sure you would know, when you make a connection and you just feel like this is home, that's how I feel with acting. With music, I feel like it's such a push and pull because sometimes it works in my favor. Sometimes I give so much to music and it doesn't give me the kind of return I wanted.
After a long hiatus from music, Angie returned to the music scene in 2015 with the song Ni Wewe. But much like Shinde, her focus had gradually shifted toward the corporate world, though Angie's journey in that space would become even broader and more influential.
I did go corporate-ish, but not corporate to her level. How she was more, suit and tie. Me, I'm more behind the scenes of, is everything okay? Can we, do a production together?
Shortly after Tattuu split in 2009, Angie briefly worked as a consultant for the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights. That same year, she joined the Performance Rights Society of Kenya as general manager. Her leadership quickly became evident, and in 2012, she rose to CEO, a role she held for 5 years. Her corporate momentum continued to climb. In September 2017, she was appointed CEO of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, marking a major milestone in her career.
4 months ago, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, Trade and Industry welcomed its second female CEO since inception, Angela Ndambuki. A little bit of a refresher course, and you probably remember her as one of the artists that made up the all-female singing group Tattuu.
However, in May 2018, her tenure came to an abrupt end when she was dismissed from the role. Although the board did not officially disclose the reasons behind the decision, media reports suggested that tension had arisen over governance, specifically that Angie preferred the board to avoid micromanaging the chamber's day-to-day operation and leave management to its executive.
That the board of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has sent home its chief executive officer, Angela Ndambuki, exposing the battles between the board and management. The chamber's chairman, Kiprono Kitonyi, told NTV that the board opted not to extend Ndambuki's contract after probation. Her probation period was 6 months, but she has been in office for 8 months. Kitonyi insisted on remaining tight-lipped on the specifics of the departure between the board and the lawyer until he receives counsel from his legal team. Sources, however, tell NTV that Ndambuki was against the board having direct influence over the day-to-day operations of the chamber, which should ideally be the work of management, so her work was being taken over by the board, a matter which she had protested and allegedly cost her job.
Still, Angie rebounded with characteristic resilience. On July 1st, 2020, she took on a continental role as Regional Director for the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry in Sub-Saharan Africa, a prestigious position she continues to hold.
Regional boss. Regional director. Even a regional director. No.
Her influence grew even further in January 2023, when she became the first woman elected chairperson of the Kenya Association of Music Producers. Her contributions to the music business earned global recognition in March 2024, when Billboard honored her at the Billboard Women in Music event for her leadership and impact in the African music landscape.
What people don't know is that Angela does a lot for the music industry behind the scenes, pushing for policies, making sure that the landscape is great for musicians. Actually, a lot of these things that we see, the positive change we've seen, is actually because of this girl.
Angela has always been extremely passionate, even when I knew her back then, about the music business. There's a performance, which is fun, but she's always, even when I look back at something she had written when we were, I think, 19 or 20, she had said that she wants to be in the music business, and it's so awesome to see her thrive in that area.
That's dope.
Away from her professional achievements, Angie also enjoys a fulfilling family life. She married Roy Mutungi in a private ceremony, and together they have 2 daughters. Of the 3 members of Tattuu, Debbie was the only one who never released a solo project after the group went their separate ways. Instead, she explored other avenues in the entertainment industry. She briefly worked as a radio presenter at Kiss FM and later joined the marketing department at the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, where she was involved in promoting copyright awareness and supporting local artists.
What we do for our artists, we try. We let you know. And that's why I'm saying here today, try and find out what your copyright, and exploit it and see how best to exploit it. You can read about it and then you'll come and find that the best way to go about it is join MCSK.
It was during her time at Kiss FM that Debbie began a romantic relationship with celebrated radio personality Shafi Weru. In 2005, the couple welcomed their daughter Milan Arafa Weru. Both were in their early 20s, young, ambitious, and still finding their footing in life. Shafi later admitted that the pregnancy caught them unprepared. I was 23, scared, confused, and overwhelmed. I wanted to retreat. All that changed, however, when I held Milan. The partying had to stop, especially the first year. Not that I was sleeping to begin with. Now I was just not sleeping, but because of different circumstances. For Debbie, the transition into motherhood was even more challenging. She experienced postpartum depression shortly after Milan's birth. Debbie also suffered from postpartum depression for about a month. She was depressed, didn't want to eat or go out. I didn't know what was going on and I didn't understand what she was going through. It helped that our moms were there. When Nia came along, I was ready in every sense of the word. The two eventually separated, and in 2015, Debbie and Milan relocated to the United States, where Debbie still resides today. Despite the distance, she and Shafi maintain a friendly co-parenting relationship. He visits them occasionally, including in 2019 when he traveled to the US to attend Milan's graduation. As for Tattoo's future, both Angie and Shinde have hinted that a reunion isn't completely off the table. They say all that is needed is the right moment and for Debbie to return home. Whether that will ever happen remains the unanswered question.
But you know, for us, it's never off the table. If like a really good offer comes, we'll always come back. We'll always come back together for the music.
And now we're actually coming back together. But Debbie's not there because she's in the US, but she'll eventually come back when Trump does his thing.
Looking back, Tattoo wasn't just a girl group. They were a cultural moment. Their music defined an era, their friendship inspired fans, and their journey showed that success can take many forms. Life carried them in different directions, Shinde to the screen, Angie to the boardroom shaping continental music policy, and Debbie to a new life overseas. Yet the bond that brought them together at Phoenix Players remains unbroken.
We were friends, and we are still friends actually.
I am grateful that we're still able to call ourselves friends.
Whether they ever reunite or not, one thing is clear. Tattoo left a legacy that still makes Kenya smile 2 decades later, and sometimes that's the kind of magic that never fades. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe for more stories that celebrate East Africa's most iconic entertainment legends. And if you're wondering what really happened to former Kenyan TV and radio star Esther Arunga, that's the next story I recommend you check out. See you in the next video.